Hey guys, Scott back again with a new beer dissection video. Depending on when you're watching this, just recently I had a friend visit. He went down to one of my most local breweries, Moriches Brewery, picked up about 6 or 7 crowlers. At the time of filming this video, I've made 2 of them, or I guess maybe 3 videos recently. You would think I would do a lot more videos by them because they're right down the road. I just don't get out to get the crowlers as often as I'd like to. And sometimes a little more complicated getting people to get them for me. But what I have today, and again, they're literally like a half a mile away. And I just did a couple Festive Trickster was one of them, and another beer. So I definitely would check them out with the board. I always plug them because when you go into the brewery, they got like 12, 14 of their own beers up there. And they brew a lot of different styles. It's not like you're going into some of these breweries that they have like 10 or 12 IPAs. So anyway, definitely worth checking out. And under my under my beer dissection page, I probably, if you scroll through, you'll notice I've done a few beers from them in the past. But again, not as much as I thought I would be doing. All right, so what I have today is from them, Nigels Delight. Okay, yes, I looked up real quick on the board, on their Facebook page, the most recent Photoshop or photo snapshot of their board. It's being advertised as English pub ale. So I'm expecting probably something similar to a cask conditioned ale. I know there's not cask conditioned, but a cask conditioned ale in the UK. So this may be their version. It's only at 4%, so that would make sense because of taxes and everything years ago, they make it lower in alcoholic strength because they're taxed by the alcoholic percentage or the ABV percentage, versus like Belgium, which is they're taxed by the mash tun and so on and so forth. So very sessionable, 4%. Would sit, yeah, I probably didn't have this sitting out long enough. I probably would want this a little warmer. I got it probably a little bit warmer than refrigerator temperature is probably in the low 40s. You know, usually cask conditioned ales, you may want them pushing, you know, I mean, it's your personal preference, but usually they're pushing like 50 degrees, maybe even as high as 55 degrees. But I would say maybe, 48 to 52 is kind of the sweet spot for it. I believe I did do a what is style. I talked about pale ale. As far as cask conditioning, I didn't go into all the cask conditioning, but I think it was a beer from Lake Placid Pub and Brewery in the what is styles. It was an English pale ale, and I go into the history of pale ale. So if you crave a lot of the nuances, the history, take a look for that, because I'm not going to go into too much with it today. But if you don't, you just want to know about this beer, just stay tuned. I'm going to get started here in just a second. So again, Nigels Delight. I'm not using anything special. It's my typical shaker pint here with my quote-unquote home brewery name on there. Okay, so let's crack this bad boy open. Okay. All right. So sometimes the crowler drips some beer at the back end of these things, but let me move this off to the side and do this. Okay, so what do we have? All right, I pour still pretty aggressively these days. Pretty nice, several inches. I usually want about maybe 1 to 2 inches. This may got shaken up a little bit, so maybe it kind of released some of the CO2, as well as my pour. It's 2 to 4 inches. Nice, very light tan to white foam. Pretty tight, compact bubbles there. Let's take a look at the color. We kind of got this, kind of dark amber to maybe a light copper color. Pretty clear, maybe a subtle chill haze there. No big deal. Again, but very nice looking beer. And this is kind of where the SRM, standard reference method for the color of the beer, would put it at, somewhere in that copper amber. In England, or at least as I've learned it, is, they call their pale ales the ones that are bottled, usually the bitters. There's ordinary bitter, special bitter, and strong bitter over there. Now, they don't use the same guidelines we use over here, but they do classify them based upon some of the color. The bitterness level goes up a little bit. The alcoholic strength goes up a little bit, as well as the color gets a little bit darker, going from those 3 bitters. And then they'll package it in bottles and sell it as pale ale, but it's essentially the same beer. I go into, again, a lot more detail in that video. All right, so let's take a sniff of the aroma on this one. Okay, so you get like kind of a earthy, woodsy, earthy, maybe a little herbal, but definitely like earthy, woodsy. The typical English, I don't know what Rich over there is using, but East Kent Goldings, Fuggles is used commonly in pub ales, hops, and it will give you that earthy, woodsy, herbal kind of character to it. What I'm getting also in the aroma, you kind of get like a biscuit, light, caramel. Not as caramel like a Scottish ale would be, but a little Maillard in there. Maybe light toffee on the malt. Okay, but it smells very nice. Okay, but if you blindfolded me and stuck it in front of me, you definitely know you're kind of in England because of the hop character. The Fuggles and East Kent Golden kind of give that. If you're in the Pacific Northwest, you're going to get pine, citrus, resiny, things like that. You're in Germany or the Czech Republic, you may get floral, perfumey, spicy, things like that, peppery, minty type of thing. So this one definitely has the aroma of kind of an East Kent Golding or Fuggles hops. But, there's a lot of hops grown here in New York that probably mimic those hops, so it may not be specifically those. Who knows? But very nice, but it definitely does smell like the pale ales that I've had are, imports. Very nice. Okay, guys, so cheers. Again, nice biscuit, light caramel toast, bread crust, graham cracker, kind of malt profile I get on this, which is pretty standard for the style. Hops, the same thing. You kind of get that herbal, earthy, woodsy type of character to it. Very nice, drinking nice and clean. It's at 4%, so it's sessionable. So the body is kind of light to medium bodied. You get the impression it's a little heavier body because you kind of get that toffee, kind of light caramel, biscuit top, bread crusty, like I said, graham cracker kind of malt profile. So it has a little malt, definitely malt backbone to this. Again, this will be more of a malt forward beer because that's just the style of beer that it is, more than the hops. But the hops will complement it, of course. No alcoholic warmth, which you wouldn't expect, definitely not at 4%. Okay, remember, ordinary best and strong bitter, it starts around, I think, 2.5 or 2.7% alcohol to like 3.6 to 4.6, and then 4.6 to 6 as you go from ordinary best all the way up to strong bitter. So this is definitely sessionable. The original session ale. Low carbonation, which is where you want it. And they purposely did that. Even though this is in a crowler, it can lose a little carbonation. But where I have it sitting is perfect. You do not want this sharp carbonation if you want to, mimic a English pub ale. So again, this is really good. I mean, this is, I'm sure Rich is an experienced brewer and his assistant brewers over there, I'm sure they have it dialed in on the CO2, and they purposely made it low carbonation. So if you are over there and you're waiting for something to be sparkling in your mouth, that's not the intent, I believe, of this beer, especially if it's advertised as English pub ale. They're probably trying to mimic a cask conditioned ale, which this is very close, okay? I know Rich was over in England for a while. I've never been to, well, I shouldn't say, I've been to Ireland, but not to England, but I definitely haven't been in the pubs over there. So he definitely knows what they're supposed to taste like. Very nice, guys. Very mellow. I could see this is one you could kind of sip all day. This being at 4%, it's not going to knock you off your stool very quickly. But you definitely the hops, earthy, woodsy, malt character. Again, graham cracker, biscuit top, lightly toasted or medium toasted. Maybe even you get a little bit of that slight toffee. And as I'm sitting here in the aftertaste, you must get like a little bit of a nut, like a light toasted nut, pecan type of thing on the aftertaste, but very smooth. Okay, guys, really good. There's not a lot to compare to. Not a lot of local breweries make English pub ales. If I was going to, rate this, it's just overall drinkability, which I've been doing these days. I rate the beers with like 2 grades. Just enjoyability, drinkability, because sometimes it's tough to compare apples to oranges. This is great. This is like I would give it an AA plus, because I don't get English pub ales very well, and I think they nailed it out of the park, replicating it. I mean, I think of Old Speckled Hen, Fuller's ESB, which is a little higher in alcoholic strength. If you let that get a little bit flatter, this is kind of hitting it very close to it. So again, definitely A plus, I think, for what they were intending on doing, the English pub ale, but AA plus, you really can't go wrong with it. And it's really tough to compare. So I really am not going to give it I'm not going to compare this. I mean, if I compared it to some of the English ones that I've had, now I haven't sat in, unlike a lot of German beers, I've sat in Germany drinking beer. If someone wanted to criticize it, maybe bring it down from A plus to an A or A minus. We're splitting hairs now. This is exceptional beer. You're looking for something sessionable. You want something close to a English ale, pub ale. This definitely is spot on, or especially cask conditioned. Though it's not technically cask conditioned, but the malt's there, subtle hop flavor and aroma, which you want. You don't want this being a pineapple grapefruit bomb. Okay, this is not what you're looking for. And you're not looking actually for like a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, which will have a lot of grapefruit and stuff like that in there, and pine. Well done. So anyway, guys, today's beer dissection from Moriches Field Brewery over here in Center Moriches, New York. Nigels Delight. Again, if you watch some of my other videos, I explain why they use this Hello Me label on here. It works for them because a lot of people like looking for like those fancy, snazzy labels. But this is a crowler too, so you're not usually labeling all the crowlers, and 32 ounces. All right, guys, highly recommended. Check out Moriches Field Brewery here in Center Moriches. Again, the Nigels Delight, the English Pub Ale is pretty spot on. Again, if you have any questions, chime in on the bottom of my YouTube channel, Facebook channels. Another winner here. Have a great day, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.